Canva and its features that can help you create KDP low content books or printables. Hi, Kerry here from Dream Creator Bee, and welcome to my channel where we show you how to make money online with low content products like KDP low content books, printables and digital planners. In this video, I'm actually going to show you all the different tools that you need to be using to create your low content books or printables in Canva. Now, you can't really do digital planners in Canva. You can do the designs and things and then export it out to, say, PowerPoint or Keynote or Affinity Publisher or InDesign to actually finish off all the types of linking that you may need to do. But if all you're doing is creating KDP low content books or printables, then Canva is a great program. There are issues like there is with every single other software out there, but this one is getting more and more powerful, and they keep adding more and more features that actually suit the low content creators. So let's dig in and let's get started. When you first start doing low content products, you basically start out with notebooks because they're the easiest to learn how to do all the different steps. And when I first started using Canva, they did not actually have lines that you could resize. Well, that is all changed. So you go into Elements and then you type out the lines that you want and you actually bring them out and you start dragging them, and you can actually now change the size of the weight. You can make it bigger, you can make it smaller, you can make it dashed, you can make it dots, you can put rounded endpoints on it, you can do all sorts of different things to it. So you can start making like dot grid journals, you can change the color of it, so you can change the line color. You can do anything like that, whereas before, when you started with lines, you used to have to drag it out and drag it in, or you'd have to actually use a rectangle. So that, for me, was the beginning of Canva being a software that I could use for designs. Then the next great thing that happened was that you can actually start adding tables. Now, I love doing tables, so I need to be in Elements, and then I start with typing out tables. And then you can just bring one of these out and you can change it. You can add columns, you could add rows as well. So you can start doing different things. You can change the color of the actual cells. You can change the color of the borders or all the borders. I've only highlighted that one there. I can change all the colors of the borders. And go in here. I know I'm doing garish colours. I can make it spread. I can make my cell sizes bigger. I can do all sorts of things. I can type inside of them. And then I can change my text. I can also remove certain borders. I can do everything that you could do in, say, PowerPoint or any other program that allows you to create tables. Like I say, this for me was a game changer because I like to keep everything in a certain order. And people also talk about eyeballing. Again, I probably have a bit of ADHD or OCD when it comes to actually lining everything up. Now, for KDP or printables, you need to actually know where your margins are. Now, the way I actually do this is I first start off with a rectangle, and I've pressed R on my keyboard and it automatically brings me a rectangle up. Or you could go into Elements and search rectangle or square. So I'm just going to resize this to 0.5 both ways. So that is 0.5, and you can see that with the black box that appeared. Now, the reason why I'm doing 0.5 is because KDP requires that you have a margin of 0.25 at the top, the bottom on one side, and a margin of 0.375 on the inner margin. But if you're doing bleed, you need to have a minimum of 0.375 all the way around. So 0.5 gives you a lot of wiggle room to play around with, so you can change things to bleed or not bleed or anything like that, and all the important stuff needs to stay within that 0.5 margin. So what I usually do is I create that square. And then Canva brought out where you could actually show your rulers and guides. So if it's not turned on, you go to File, Show Rulers and Guides. And then all you do is you go into the side here and you drag out your guides. So I've got my top one there. Again, I could just drag this across into the corner and do the exact same thing there. It's not exactly on, but anyway. And then I could drag this one down to that corner, and I have got my margins now. And the great thing about that is if I add another page, my margins appear. So when I print this out, those margins, rulers or anything, they do not appear. They are just for me. They are a visual thing. And obviously, if you're doing shapes or anything like that, so say we add another rectangle because we're going to put that as a space for people to work. And then I can reduce the opacity of that, bring it down a bit. And then I could have another one. So I'm going to Command D and duplicate. I need to be on it to actually do that. Everything clips as well. So you can actually clip things. You can also position things like this. So you can go into positions and you can change whether you want it to the left. So everything's there to the left. You can tidy things up if they highlight, but here we can see that everything is huge. It's outside of my margins, so I can just grab them all together and group them. So another great thing about Canva now is that you can do up to 200 pages. When I first started using Canva, I think it was about 50 pages, and then they upped it to 100 pages. Now, most people that are creating KDP Low Content Books usually do anything from 100 to 120. Some bigger books are up to 150. And what you used to have to do is create half your document, export that as a PDF, and then go and finish your document, export that as a PDF, and then merge them together in a outside or third party app that usually was web-based. But now if you go into Canva, you can actually see that you can do up to 200 pages. So if I just click on grid view, it actually shows the 200 pages that are there. Now all I've done is I've taken a 23-page template and duplicated it just to check to see if it worked. Now the first time that I went through this and did this, it actually did crash on me, but it's like any software, things don't work 100% all the time, just like us as human beings. So this is another great step. Now the best things that have come along in recent weeks is when you are actually exporting your PDF. Now before it used to just be a PDF here, but they have actually changed it now to have an extra section which is PDF for print. But that's not the only great things that it's also brought along. It's changed it from the color space RGB, so you can now actually have CMYK. And why is that important? Because most printers actually use CMYK. And if you are creating things in color, the colours that you see on the screen are not the same as the colours that you will see in print. And the reason for that is because the colours on the screen are RGB. They tend to be a lot more brighter in colour, whereas CMYK tends to be a lot duller in colour as well. So when you have created your low content books with your covers, and sometimes you get them, you think, but that doesn't look the same. And the reason is because the print company has changed it from RGB and sort of downscaled it to CMYK, whereas if you save it here with the CMYK, you can actually see what your colours are going to look like as a print document, especially if you print them out and check the colours against your own printer. Obviously, they won't be the same as a professional printer, but you get a general idea. Then the next thing that was great is this has only come along in the last couple of weeks, and it's a rolling process. So you may not have it. Some people got it straight away. Me, I think it only appeared this week for me personally. You click on Flatten PDF, and this is great because a lot of the time now KDP, when you're uploading your books, the fonts are saying they are not been embedded, and this should help. Also, this is important when you are exporting your covers, because sometimes when you don't flatten the different layers inside your covers, you actually get like a white line or a white sort of image around the different parts of the image. So this should help with that. So I'm going to download that, and then I'm also going to go onto this one here, and I'm going to go to share again, download. I'm going to change this. In fact, I only want the last page, and I'm going to change that to PDF print, and I'm going to file and CMYK. And then the case with this is that you shouldn't have any of these layers. Like, so I used a photograph here. Fortunately, I used the same color background that's in this photograph there, and that has made that merge in, but that has now helped. Now, I hope they've both printed off. They have. Well, one has. So I wanted to actually see if this flattened. Now, I use Affinity Designer a lot, and if you go into Affinity Designer, usually if you open up a PDF that's not being flattened, you can actually see the layers and go in and edit the layers. So I'm just looking for where this has gone. I'm just going to open that. So you can see it does sort of an estimation, and you can see that Canva has now totally flattened that. There's no extra layers. I can't go in. So this should help with embedding fonts, and it should help with getting rid of any little white lines that you used to see around here. So that is another fantastic thing that has come along in Canva to help us as low content creators create higher standard goods. Now, another great feature is we can create a design, and we can import different files into this, and we can also import any errors in here. Let me just go on to this one. So I'm opening this one because I know that I made a spelling mistake. There we go. Okay, so I have made a spelling mistake here. I spelt Portugal wrong. So because it's now allowed me to import a PDF, I can actually go in and edit this PDF and put the correct spelling in there. And that for me is a game changer. So I knew I'd got it here as well. So again, I don't have to go out and use an external program like a PDF converter. I can just import it into Canva, and I can import the PDF, and then from here I can add different things. So I can add shapes, I can add images. Remember, you need to check the licensing with all of these because they do have different license rights, especially if you are using free. So you can also export anything that you've created as a PowerPoint. I'm not going to do that one because it's just too big. So I can go to this one, share. I can go on to more, and then from here you can share your document with anything. And as you can see here, it says PowerPoint. So I'm going to save that, and I can download it. We have got our PowerPoint here, so I can see that I've got an error up there because that's digging out, but I can also see that I can actually move things around. I can edit it, I can change things. So now I have got two programs that I can be using, so I can start designing in Canva and bring it into PowerPoint. Say if I was designing a digital planner, you can't really design digital planners in Canva because you need more than 200 pages more often than not, and the hyperlinks only go to about 20 pages. So what you could do is design your templates in Canva and then export them out into PowerPoint and then create your digital planners from there. Now, if you're a Mac user, you should not be designing your planners, your digital planners, in PowerPoint because the hyperlinks don't work. I know there is a workaround, but sometimes that workaround does not work. So, but you can always change it as a PowerPoint and then reopen it up as a Keynote one and then put your links in there. So that's another great thing that Canva has got in. They also give a lot of different apps. So if you go into Canva, once you've logged in, you can see that it says about Discover Apps down at the tool here, and then you can have a look at all of these apps. Now, another great thing that they've added is shadows. So before, when you put images in, you used to have to put like 2 different images, one below the other, and create a shadow from that. They also have this character builder. There's a few of them, not as many. You couldn't create a whole book, say, using just this character builder, because they're not good enough, in my opinion, yet. They might get there. Then they also have some of these different flip books that you can connect to. They are free to a certain point, and then you have to start paying. I've tried that one. That one's quite good. It actually looks like a proper flip book. Again, it becomes a paid one. I used this one. It was free, but it didn't flip right for what I call a flip book. But again, there's all these different apps that you can go and check out. Now, like I say, some of these are only available either as a third-party paid app or to pro users. Now, if you are a pro user, then you have lots of other things that you can be doing. Like, you can actually be importing your own fonts. So if you purchase any fonts from different places like Creative Fabrica and that, you can actually purchase them and then be using them inside your fonts here and make your stuff unique. But Canva has a lot of fonts already available, and they're very good at font pairing. Also, if you're a pro user, you can create folders so that you can keep all your work organized, so you know what you're looking for, and you can add different things into your folders. Another great thing about being a pro user is you can resize all your documents. So you can create your biggest document at, say, 8.5 by 11, and then just by going into resize, you can create the 3 different sizes that you want. Say you want 8.5 by 11, 8 by 10, and a 6 by 9 version of your book, because it might be a planner that's aimed at a particular audience, and the audience, different people like different sizes. So you might want to resize to those different audiences, and then it's just quickly and easily done. If you're creating any social media graphics, this is great because all the different social media platforms use different sizes, so you can create one graphic and then resize it to fit all the different social media ones. Again, this is only if you've got a pro account. Okay, I want to show you some of the different effects as well that they've added. So I'm just going to take this picture. It's not what we'd use, but if I go into edit image here, I can add a shadow, and I can put a glow on it, and I can change that glow color so that it's different. I can make the blur a bit more blurry. I can take the transparency all the way up. I can also change the size so things start standing out. So that's another great thing you can do. You can also edit your image and change colors here. You can also add frames to it if you want. So you can click use. And you can put it inside like a laptop or a phone. And these are great if you're doing similar things like mock-ups or anything like that. And then speaking about mock-ups, there's also a smart mock-ups here that you can be using. There are some books, there's not many, and they're not really appropriate for our use, but if you're creating low content printable digital art, then these might work for you. And if you're creating greeting cards, things, so these are the books, the different ones. They are quite thick. They're probably more hardcover than paperback, so I think they need more paperbacks. That would actually help. I think this is another one. Again, it's more of a hardcover, which is no good if all your books are paperback. You don't want to be misleading your audience. Again, lots of print on demand sort of mock-ups. You can also grab an image and then edit the image, and you can also remove the background, especially again if you have got the paid pro account. Now you can avoid this if you don't want to get the pro account. You can actually take your images and go to different places like Photopea and then remove your background from there. But again, this just makes it easier to be working in all one program. So the pros in Canva is that you can create tables. You can now export to CMYK. You can have up to 200 pages. You can flatten your document. You can import PDFs. So if you've got templates or images, or you've created puzzles in software, puzzle creators, and they're only export as PDFs, you can now import to Canva and start editing. You can export to PowerPoint if you want to create, say, digital planners, or you need more pages than 200 pages. There's font pairing already in there. If you've got a pro account, you can resize all your documents. You can also remove your background. They've got new image effects and text effects that you can use with shading and things like that. And another bonus that I didn't actually share with you was you can, if you've got the pro account, you can actually create templates of your documents, and you can be selling the templates either on Etsy. So you could create, say, templates of party invitations and then put them up and sell, edit. You can send the template to the person that's bought it so that they can add the different names on and change different things that they need to change in there. And it also, you can also create your social media graphics inside Canva, and you can connect some of your social media accounts so that it will post to those social media accounts for you. So Canva is very powerful like that. There are a couple of things that I think they still need to go. One of them for me is I like to have layers so that I know I can work on it. I know I can click on an image and then send the position backwards and keep going all the way back. But if I had layers, I could just literally drag and drop that. And then another thing for me is if they had Boolean operations and nodes. Now, if they had that, you wouldn't need to use any other graphics program, although there are issues with DPI, and we've got to remember Canva really is a raster program, whereas like PowerPoint and Affinity and Illustrator are vector programs. So it's a great big thumbs up from me for Canva. I hope you found this video useful, and if you haven't already checked out my video on how to create a weekly planner in Canva.